Hi guys, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Luke.
We're a couple Aussies in America.
We moved to Dallas from Australia last year, and there's loads of differences between our home city Melbourne and our new city Dallas.
And today we want to share with you the top 5 things that we love about living in Dallas. So we had to start with the weather because it is just so much better than where we're from. We're from Melbourne and it's a southern city, so it's quite gloomy.
I mean, we got to mention that it does get pretty hot in summertime here, like brutally hot for some. But generally speaking, for us at least, we very much prefer the warm weather. And yeah, definitely compared to Melbourne, it's a lot better here.
So Dallas has 234 sunny days a year and Melbourne only has 48.
48?
48.
Like 48, like that is a joke. That is an absolute joke. So if you put that in numbers terms, you can understand. That means in a 7-day week here in Dallas, you're looking at about 5 of the 7 days are going to be beautiful sunny skies, like you can see behind us now. Whereas in Melbourne, in a 7-day week, you're going to be lucky to have 1 of those days as a sunny day. It's just, it's mind-blowing, the difference. So to put that in perspective, the sunniest major city in the United States is Phoenix, which is in Arizona, and it has about 319 sunny days per year.
And in Australia, Perth is the sunniest city, and it only has 139 sunny days a year.
So the sunniest city in Australia has 3 times as many sunny days as Melbourne, and neither of which combined have as many sunny days as the city of Dallas. And I always thought that Australia was a sunny country.
So there's definitely no shortage of beautiful sunny days to go out and enjoy the weather.
Yeah, and the best thing for me, at least, about that is there's no sun guilt. Like, I know when I was living in Melbourne, because sunny days were so rare, you'd often feel bad if there was a sunny day and you didn't go out and enjoy it. So you'd have a beautiful day, but for whatever reason, you couldn't be stuffed going out. You wanted to stay home on the couch. I always felt really guilty because I was like, I really should be going out and doing something and enjoying this weather. But here that just doesn't happen because pretty much every day is going to be a nice sunny day. So if for whatever reason you've got some sunshine, you can't be bothered doing something, that's all right. We'll just do it tomorrow instead. Yeah. The other thing, and I don't know about you, but the temperature feels different here. Where currently it's in the mid to high 60s, which is around 20 degrees. 20 degrees Celsius feels a lot warmer here in Dallas than it does in Melbourne. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, when the sun is on you, the direct sun is on you, it feels hotter than it does in Australia.
Yeah, the sun has more intensity. So the same temperature in both cities will feel a lot hotter here in Dallas. And even in the middle of winter, where it wasn't necessarily a very hot day, it was still feel quite warm. Like, do you remember those days it was like 1 degree Celsius?
Yeah.
And I was still wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially in winter, it's got a lot more heat behind it in winter, the sun.
Yeah, pretty much if the sun's out, it's going to be pleasant, regardless of the ambient temperature. So that's actually really nice, being able to wear even shorts and a t-shirt in the middle of winter. One of the other things we love about being here are the people. The people are actually really, really friendly. There's this whole thing about Southern hospitality, and that really is a thing down here in Texas. So generally speaking in Australia, and you've probably experienced as well, people generally keep to themselves, or at least in the major cities. There's not a lot of interaction, at least among strangers. Whereas here, I think I've spoken to more strangers in the 6 months or 8 months now that I've been here than I have in the 35 years that I lived in Melbourne. Generally, strangers just don't talk to each other.
Yeah, there's a lot more sort of, hi, how you going? How's your day? And
there's a lot more of that. And even in the elevator or things, like I think if we were talking to a stranger in Australia in an elevator, I'd be mortified to be like, what? Get out of my face, mate. Like, what are you doing?
And a lot more kind of like holding the door open for people.
There's a lot more of that.
There's a lot more of that. Like in Australia, there's sort of like, why I can do it myself. Like, you know, but here everyone is much more. Yeah,
that old school kind of Southern hospitality is definitely more of a thing here. It is actually nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people, in my experience at least, think that it's fake. Particularly in Australia, a lot of Australians think that a lot of Americans are fake and insincere. But from our experience here at least, it's really genuine. Like I've struck up conversations with strangers in the pharmacy, for example, or even someone was waiting at a set of traffic lights in a car and I was waiting to cross the road and I just started chatting with the lady who was driving. It's just nice being able to talk to random people. And it's funny because, like I said, a lot of Australians I think that that's very insincere. But honestly, I almost think that's more of a reflection on Australians than it is on Americans, because Australians and other people as well just can't imagine being so genuine and sincere to a stranger, but it really is a thing here. The one caveat I would put on that though is the younger generation. Have you experienced this as well?
Yeah, I don't know why, but the younger people like it. They don't even crack a smile when you walk past.
Our generation and younger, so we're millennials.
Yeah.
Our generation and younger, they're nowhere near as friendly for whatever reason. Definitely it's the older generation that is friendlier towards strangers than the younger generation. I've definitely felt that as well.
I agree with you.
So
on that,
I don't know, maybe we have a
100%.
chip on our shoulder.
We actually relocated to America for our business, and we knew that we would be traveling a lot. We didn't want to be spending hours and hours on a plane.
Yeah, to put in perspective, a flight from, say, Seattle to Miami is about 5 hours, or LA to New York is also about 5 hours. So we really didn't want to spend excessive amounts of time in the air. So we were looking for a reasonably central major city.
Dallas has 2 major airlines.
They're actually based out of DFW Airport and Dallas Love Field, which is the building you can see behind us. That's American Airlines based out of DFW and Southwest Airlines based out of the airport behind us. And this is a bit of an interesting side note. Apparently DFW International Airport is actually larger than the entire island of Manhattan.
To put it in perspective, it took us 3 hours to fly to LA, 2.5 hours to fly to Orlando in Florida, and 3.5 hours to fly to New York.
Yeah, and if you ever wanted to go to Chicago, you're looking at about 2 hours. Cancun is only 2.5 hours away, and Toronto or Bahamas are only a 3-hour flight away. And they're just the major cities that we're talking about. In between, over to the west, you've got cities like Vegas or Phoenix, and over east, in the other direction, you've got New Orleans or Cincinnati. So there's loads of other smaller places that you can visit that aren't on the extreme side of the country.
Plus there's a whole bunch of road trips that are really close by too. So we've got San Antonio, which is about a 4-hour drive. You've got Austin and Houston, which are 3-hour drives. And then of course there's Albuquerque, which is a 9-hour drive.
Yeah, and we actually went through there in a road trip series from here to Durango, which you might be interested in. But yeah, it's really not that far at all. And to put the sense of scale in perspective, the population in this triangle at a little over 20 million people is actually comparable to the entire country of Australia, which has around 25 million people. So yeah, the scale's a little bit different here. One of the things that surprised me the most is that the commute is actually quite short, pretty much wherever you want to go. I always kind of had this image of really plugged up and congested highways and freeways, and that does happen from time to time, but generally speaking, it's about 10 to 15 minutes wherever you need to go.
Yeah, honestly, you type in any location in your GPS and it's always like 10, 15 minutes.
Shops, Walmart, parks, lakes. There's even an airport, Dallas Love Field Airport, that we talked about previously, is actually only about 15 minutes from downtown Dallas. So everything really is within 10 to 15 minutes, at least from where we live, which is just 10 minutes out of downtown. One little disclaimer that we probably should mention is that we do work remotely. So we don't need to do the daily office kind of 9 to 5 drive. But yeah, for us at least, we've been really surprised at how easy it is to get around. I think one of the main reasons for this is the huge number of freeways that run through and around the city. It's very, very different to Melbourne. Melbourne really just has 2 major freeways, and generally you use those freeways to go far distances. So you'll go from either the inner city out to the outer suburbs, or quite long distances. But here in Dallas, you use the freeway much more regularly in daily life. So if you're going to go to the supermarket, you're going to jump on the freeway. If you're going to go to the shops, you're going to jump on the freeway. That really doesn't happen as much in Melbourne, which means that obviously you can move places quite quickly. There are downsides to that as well.
And another thing I will just add, because everyone drives everywhere and there's so many freeways and things are so accessible, there's also heaps of parking. So no matter where you go, there's always a place to park. And I know that's definitely something that's an issue in Melbourne, but here there's car parks everywhere.
Now, you can't really do a list like this without mentioning Texas barbecue. Now, it's obviously not unique to Dallas, but it's still just an incredible part of the food scene over here, and you can get it pretty much everywhere. We went to a Chipotle the other day, which, if you don't know, is a Mexican fast food joint, and you can even add brisket to your tacos. It's just such a popular thing over here, and it's delicious.
I mean, it's so delicious. They take smoked meat to the next level. Like, it's so smoky when you walk into a barbecue joint. It just fills the whole restaurant. The brisket just melts in your mouth.
Yeah, and they give you these really cool variants on barbecue sauces. So you can get like a sweet barbecue sauce, a spicy barbecue sauce. So you just add that to the already succulent meat. It's actually really hard to stop once you get started, because it's just so easy to eat and it just melts in your mouth.
Yeah, and the sides are amazing too. I mean, mac and cheese, green beans, they have slaw, they have cornbread. There's just so much. It's delicious.
It's delicious. And the best part is, because it's so popular, you can actually buy it at the supermarket. Pretty much every supermarket you go to, they'll have brisket or ribs or sausages with like jalapeno and cheese and various flavor combinations. And you just take it home, microwave it up, and it's seriously delicious. It's just really convenient.
So if you ever make it to Dallas, make sure that you hit up a barbecue joint.
Definitely.
So I know we said we're going to tell you our 5 most loved things about Dallas, but we're going to throw in a bonus one.
It just needs to be mentioned because it is really cool, and it's actually gas prices. A lot of people here in America and Texas are actually complaining about how high gas prices are. Comparatively, they're so super cheap. And they're actually quite expensive at the moment at $4 American a gallon. But if you convert that to Australian currency, it actually works out to about $1.20 per litre Australian, which is just super cheap considering that at the time of filming, prices in Australia are about $2.20 a litre. And that's actually expensive at the moment because of the war in Ukraine and all that kind of thing. When I first got here, it worked out to about 90 cents a litre that I was filling a tank up at. And so I'd go to the gas station and fill up my car and pay 25 bucks for a tank of petrol. And that's American, which is about $35 Australian. So it was really cool. I mean, cost of living in general is probably cheaper here than it is in Australia, but the gas in particular is just so cheap. We just had to mention it.
And those were the top things that we love about Dallas.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope you liked what you saw. If you did, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified of all future videos. We do want to do an opposing video as well, where we list the top 5 things we don't like so much about Dallas. So please stay tuned, and thanks for watching.